conference will now be recorded.
We're all set, Jamie? Okay, call the meeting to order. This is the Finance Committee meeting. This is Friday, August 21st. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people here, and we have one person on the phone. Is that somebody calling in, or is that, I don't know what that is.
That was a mistake.
Okay. All right. And as usual, we begin our meetings with some sort of technical situation. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, which were once again well supplied by our scribe, Brian. Is there a motion
So moved.
to approve the minutes?
To approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second that.
I think Angelo got the second on that one, but this would be the minutes of the August 13th meeting, just for the record. And let's just say all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
Okay,
Yep.
so that was approved. We have, coming up at 6:45, we're gonna start the public hearing, but we can do a few things prior to that, if you would like. I have sent out to you a new one-liner sheet, it's 2 pages. It's dated 8/20. If you have that document, it's great.
Yep.
And there are a couple of items that need to be reconsidered because we have some new funding numbers for them. And I can read them. A couple of them I'm going to have to leave the room on when you do them. But for example, we have on items 11 and 12, which we haven't voted yet, we have reduced numbers. Items 16, 17, and 18, we have new numbers on 2 of them and a new funding source on the 3rd one. And then, yeah, he can move over there. Yeah, we have a new person joining the room. Tom's here now.
Oh.
So we're just gonna take a second and get set up for that.
Yeah, we can team up. Work and play well together. You want this chair, Mark? Good?
Yeah, we have a
Thank you, Jamie.
regular chair if you want one, Mark. Thank you, Jamie. So on Article 16, 17, and 17, we have a new lower number. And on that second one, the lower number, instead of coming from debt now, is gonna come from free cash. So when you talk about that, if you decide to vote that one, I'll be out of the room. There'll be some free cash if you vote that. And then the third one is a new funding source. Instead of free cash, it would be the one in the yellow there. We can reconsider, I'll entertain a motion to reconsider Article 21, supplement the funds for Round Cove Boat Ramp. Is there a motion?
Oh.
We have a new funding source on that instead of free cash?
I thought that was coming out of the waterway.
Yeah, it is, so that's what we have to vote it. We voted free cash.
Oh.
So is there a motion to reconsider?
I will make a
Item
motion
number
to
21,
reconsider.
I'm sorry.
21, right.
21 is supplement funds for Round Cove
Got
Boat
it.
Ramp.
Okay, it's,
So we have a motion, is there a second? Motion from Tom,
I'll second.
second from Dan. So the new number is to fund $106,357 from the Waterway Fund. Is there a motion to that? Oh, we have to vote to reconsider. All those in favor of reconsideration? Say aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Yep, thank you. All right, so now we would have a new motion of $106,357 to come from waterway funds.
I'll make that motion that comes out of waterway funds for that supplemental funds, Round Cove Boat Ramp.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a new motion, second. Any discussion from anyone? We're just changing the funding source. All those in favor say aye.
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 Angelo is an aye, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So our old motion changed to accept and adopt 8-0. We have a new number for the Article 39, which is to fund prior year unpaid bills. We had voted $7,193. It's now up to $7,596 in the description in the article of the reprinted warrant. You can find out which one has been added on. But I would entertain a motion to reconsider that article.
Which article? I apologize.
39.
39,
Thank you.
fund prior years unpaid bills.
I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider Article 39, funding of prior years' unpaid bills.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of reconsideration, please say aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
so, we would take a new motion now to accept and adopt $7,596 from free cash.
Second, or make the motion?
Make the motion.
Make the motion. I'll make the motion to fund Article 39, which is the prior year's unpaid bills. The new number is $7,596, and the funding source will be free cash.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Angelo?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on that? Again, it went up because they found one more unpaid bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Angelo?
Aye.
All right. So it's 8-0 on that one. We have another few minutes. John, do you want to do
Sure.
the two, this would be Articles 16, 17, and 18, and I'll step down for those
And the numbers are,
right here if you want them. These are the new numbers, and that's the new funding source for the other one, all right?
and the old number is right there, 250.
That's what you voted before.
What- okay, and the 350 is
It's coming from there.
from
All right.
free cash. I'd like to entertain a motion to reconsider, if someone could make, I guess I can make the motion, to fund Article 16. There's a new number for DPW equipment. It's a reduction from 250, which we approve, but this is just a motion to reconsider the article.
I make a motion we reconsider Article 16.
Second. Who was the second? I'm sorry. I did. Dan, thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to, someone's going to entertain a new motion
Well, we got to vote on that, John.
Vote on it?
we take a vote, sorry about that, on the reconsideration of Article 16, take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Angelo, I forgot Angelo out there.
Okay.
Motion passes. Now, a new motion to.
I would like to make a motion that we reduce the cost from 250,000 to 215,000 on Article 16.
Second.
Angelo, second that, okay. Any discussion? Okay, I'd like to, we'll take a vote on that. All in favor of funding Article 16 for $215,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Angelo? Aye. All those opposed? Passes 7-0. Next one is a road, make a reconsideration on the funding of Article 17, which is the road maintenance program. It's a reduction from $700,000 to $350,000. And the funding source is free cash. Someone can make a motion to that?
I make a motion we reconsider Article 17.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor of reconsideration, Article 17, Road Maintenance Program, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Oh, Angelo, keep Angelo, sorry, Angelo. All those opposed? Passes 7-0 for the reconsideration. And now we'd like to vote on the new number, Article 17, if someone could make a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we reduce our cost from $700,000 to $350,000 on Article 17.
I second.
Great. Any discussion?
Yeah, a quick question. What's the source of the reduction?
I guess it's I don't know the answer to that, Dale. I'm guessing that the Highway Department, Link Hooper may have requested that for some reason.
Okay.
Hi, it's Carol here. Could I answer your question for you?
Sure. Yeah, Carol, we're voting to reconsider Article 17, funding the road maintenance program, a reduction from 700 to 350,000.
I met with the DPW director on a number of occasions, and knowing that the town would prefer not to have a debt exclusion come before the voters, I had asked if a reduction of the total appropriation would be appropriate, and if he could work with those numbers, and he agreed to do so. And so that is why we're bringing it forward this way, to fund it with free cash, to remove the option for debt exclusion.
I see. Is it still being funded at 350 or 700,000?
350.
350, okay. Will that affect the state matching?
That does not affect the state matching. There are some roadway projects that cannot be, there's some portions of roadway projects that cannot be funded from Chapter 90, but Chapter 90 is not based on a match. Chapter 90 is just the money that comes in from the Commonwealth to support road projects.
Okay, great, because I didn't want it to affect the 700,000 matching that we get from the state. A good question, Dale. I didn't, I thought Carol was, glad you're there, Carol, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion on Article 17? All those in favor of reducing the
Want to move and
articles?
second it? It's going to be moved.
Need a motion.
It has to be moved and seconded. I
Yeah.
believe.
I think
I
it
made the
was-
Need a
motion.
motion.
I'm sorry.
You need a motion.
I did
We
make
had
the
a
motion.
Town motion.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
And Mark
Motion,
seconded.
second, discussion.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay, the motion's been made. Any discussion? All those in favor of Article 17, the reduction to 350, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Okay, it passes 7-0. Article 18 is its motion needs to be made to reconsider Article 18, the fund.
I'll make a motion
Memorial
we
tree
reconsider, oh, sorry, John.
Okay,
I'll make a motion we reconsider the fund memorial tree replacement, Article 18.
I second.
great. Any discussion? All those in favor of reconsideration of Article 18?
Aye.
Aye. Angelo?
Aye.
Great, it passes, okay, that reconsiders it now. This is a funding source change. It was originally going to be funded out of free cash, and now will be funded out of the perpetual care fund within the cemetery department. If someone could make a motion for that?
I make a motion we accept and adopt fund memorial tree replacement for the refinancing out of the free cash into the cemetery fund.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 7-0. Okay, and for the record, Dana stepped out for Articles 16, 17, and 18. So we'll have to invite him back into the room now. Thank you.
Wave, John.
Just wave.
go, Mr. All reconsidered and passed 7-0.
Okay. All right, I'm back. It's past 6:45, so we can actually move to the public hearing. So this is the public hearing on the capital outlay plan. So I would entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to open the public
Who had
hearing.
the second, please? There were a lot of seconds. Dale, I'm sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Angelo is aye.
Yeah,
I just got back here, okay. So the public hearing is now open. I'll make a couple of opening remarks first, and then we'll ask for questions from the public. We do have one person from the public here. Donna, if you wanted to chime, we gotta have the reading of the notice, yes.
Let me read the notice now?
Yep.
Okay.
John's gonna read the notice.
Capital Outlay Plan, official notice. Notice is hereby given under the Harwich Home Rule Charter 9, Section 7-1. Finance Committee will hold a public hearing on fiscal year 2021 capital plan Friday, August 21st, 2020, no earlier than 6:45 p.m. This meeting will be a virtual public hearing where members of the public will be invited to join the meeting either via computer, tablet, or smartphone. The dial-in instructions will be posted in the meeting agenda when it is posted prior to the meeting. Meeting agendas must be posted at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. The agenda package will also contain a general summary of the capital outlay plan as required by Chapter 9-7-1. A copy of the proposed capital plan will be available in the agenda packet. The capital outlay plan will also be printed in the annual town warrant, which will be published and distributed at least 2 weeks prior to the annual town meeting. Finance Committee.
Okay. So, again, I'll just make a few remarks and then we'll ask anyone if they want to chime in on this. In May of 2019, we voted the FY20 capital plan, 7-year capital plan, which covered from FY20 to FY26. Also, in the 2020 year, we had an election. And in that election, besides electing officers to the boards, there was also an article, a ballot question on approving a new capital plan or some changes to the existing capital plan, which basically changed the rules of the capital plan. And that vote was taken on June 30th. So it was taken as part of the official FY20 year. And as we've heard from the Board of Selectmen, that vote was approved, the questions passed, and they said it goes right into effect. They have a legal opinion on that it goes right into effect. So we have new rules for the capital plan. And the biggest change on that was that they really want to track major items. And so it prohibits things from being under $50,000 in that plan. And it's basically, you're supposed to have the plan and add the new year on. So the Finance Committee, earlier in the year, took the existing 20 plan, and we took out things like the fuel-efficient vehicle, which was $24,000, which was under the $50,000 limit. We took out the ADA compliance improvements, $11,605. We took out build new cart paths. We also took out a lease. There was a lease in there for mowing equipment, as that's not a capital purchase anymore, that's a budgetary item, and that was $87,050. We also took out improved the net driving range net, $28,000. We took out the library interior modifications, $40,000. We took out the taser replacements, $14,910. And that took quite a clump out of the plan. And that's what we ended up with as a plan. There are still going to be more changes to this plan. The town administrator is working on how to deal with what was left over. What was left over is a $7 million plan for this year, and we know we're not funding in a COVID year a $7 million capital outlay request. We're not going to town meeting and asking for $7 million worth of projects to be approved and taxes to go up for those $7 million. So there will be another adjustment to this plan, but that's basically where we are right now. And with that said, we open it up to the public. And Donna, you're the only other person on here that's not on the Finance Committee or in the financial offices of the town. Do you have anything you'd like to say on the capital plan? Anything at all?
Not right now. I'm just amazed at the thought process, but I'm learning. Keep going.
Okay.
Could she identify herself?
This is Donna Richardson.
Okay.
I have her name here. It's probably hard to read up there, but thank you, Donna. The biggest changes that will have to come is dealing with, now the rules of the capital plan say that if an object goes to town meeting, a request goes to town meeting, and town meeting funds it, and then it goes to the ballot question after that and does not get funding, that item automatically moves into the next year. So there's a rule for what happens to that item. If it doesn't get funding at town meeting, it disappears from the plan. Now, the items that do not have articles in there will not get funding. So the selectmen could basically do nothing, and those, by the rules, would disappear from the plan. But I think what they're going to do, and I'm not privy to this, but I think what they're going to do is I think they're going to move to amend the plan after we adopt it, and the amendment would take a 2/3 vote, and that amendment would probably move some of these projects into future years, whether it's 1 year out, or 2 years out, or 5 years out. They would adjust the plan in their motion. And that's what I presume will happen. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's certainly what we'll be discussing with them when we get together with them, and if they don't come up with something. Or they might turn to the capital outlay committee and say, well, we gotta start from scratch, redo the plan. That might be their approach, but there just isn't enough time to have that many meetings between now and September to actually do a lot of that kind of work, redoing the whole plan. I don't think there's enough time at all. They're starting already, send out the notice to start next year's plan for next May. So I don't think they have time to adjust this year's plan by very much. So that's kind of where we are with that. And Donna's saying you're the only one there, and there are no more questions. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the motion's been made. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Angelo? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Thank Donna for being here. We're gonna have another one in a few minutes on the budget. And we'll do that. Now, we can further discuss the capital plan. We have voted for what we've got. I don't see a need to really keep discussing it until they come back with proposals. The town administrator has our version of the plan. They know what they have to do. We can give them suggestions, but that's about it. We're in a spot where we are. I'm comfortable with where we are. I think we're in a good spot in terms of what we've proposed. So it's a matter of getting something from them and then seeing if we agree with that kind of deal. But even then, it would be an amendment to the plan. It's going to require 2/3 vote to pass, which usually happens. I mean, people are a lot of times scared by the 2/3 vote. That generally happens. So with that said, unless they want to talk about the plan some more, I would say we move right on and try and fix a few more articles.
Sure.
Consensus of the board, Angelo?
articles. Let's move forward.
All right, so, we've made changes to some. We've got 2 new price adjustments, so let's talk about those. Actually, one of them on the repairs, I'm gonna have to step down on. There's items for free cash less than $50,000. You can see that that's way down. They've taken many of the items out, and they're only doing what they absolutely have to do. And that has to do with, I think, the funding for our portion of the air packs and something else to do with fire.
What's the article number, please?
The article number is 11 on our
Okay,
sheet.
thank you.
Something to do with tasers.
Tasers, that's what it was, yeah. Let me just get that. It's $14,910 for tasers, and it's our portion of the air packs for the fire department. So police tasers and air packs, 20,000 for the air packs and 14,910 for the other, to make a total of 34,10. So at this point, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't vote this. The funding source is free cash. So if someone would like to make a motion on Article 11, items from the capital plan for less than 50,000.
I'll make a motion that we approve Article 11, funding of 2 articles in there, taser replacement and air pack, the town's contribution to a grant that the fire department is going to receive. The grant total is $575,000, of which the grant total is $547,000. The town's portion is $20,000. So I'll make a motion to approve Article 11,
And the funding source is free cash.
and the funding source is free cash.
I'll second that.
Second by Tom's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that one?
Mr. Chairman, it's Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi. The town administrator sent out an updated warrant this afternoon. That amount for the air pack is $27,389 for a total of the both of $42,299.
Okay, so could you read the first number for me real quick one more time? 27,000?
$389.
Okay, all right, so I have the 2 numbers now. 14,910 and 27,389, 42,099 total. Was that your motion, John?
Yes, it was.
Okay, was that your second, Tom?
Yeah, it would be my second.
All right, so we're working with that number now.
Mr. Chairman, could we just go over the numbers one more time, please?
Please.
I have a total of $42,299.
Okay,
Okay.
That agrees.
yep. And 27,389 from the air packs and 14,910 from the tasers, and you're correct, 42,299. That's why you're the professionals, more than just the amateurs.
That's it.
That's what's printed in the article. It's 42,000.
Right, it's not print, the article's
Well,
not
it's
printed yet.
98.82
Right, but she's saying that there's a new version of this printing. We have to all cross off our dates and get the new version that came out today. So this is new information today, and this is our last opportunity to vote between now and when the warrant goes to print. So I would say it's time to vote.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Angela?
Aye.
Aye. So it's 8-0. And we have time before the next public hearing. The next article has some changes in it. There's several items in there. You want to go to that article and read the list, but I'm gonna have to step out of the room on that one as well.
Which
'cause one
article
of
is
the
that?
items on the list is for DPW, so that is article number 12 on our list. No. Yes, article number 12.
Facilities maintenance and repair.
Right, they've cut some of the items out, and they've come to a new total on that one. Carol, do you have, was there anything new on that one? You're still there, Carol?
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was giving my dog a treat to get him to quiet down, but, I'm sorry. I lost track of where you are right now.
We're talking about I have to leave the room, but we're talking about the fund facility maintenance and repairs. I wondered if the new warrant that came out today had any changes on that one. And with
I
that,
think you're going to see some changes on that one. I believe that the proposal is to fund, or to have the Cultural Center revolving fund their own expenses for FY '21. So I don't believe that you're going to see that coming from free cash, but that hasn't been a decision that's been made, that has been finalized yet.
so the number we have of 165 doesn't have a funding source yet, or is incomplete?
Well, I believe that it should be $100,000 for the cultural center subsidy, and then the $55,000, but I think you're gonna see the $100,000, if I'm a betting person, I bet you're gonna see that $100,000 go away.
So the other one would just be 55,000.
That's correct.
All right, so my recommendation to the board is you take the new information, reconsider the article, and discuss whether you want to vote that or not, because it's an item for DPW, and I have to leave.
Well, we haven't voted on it, though.
No, this would be a brand-new vote. You don't have to reconsider it, you have to just vote it.
Vote it.
You ask for a motion.
But we don't know that's a definitive number yet.
Right,
Okay.
So you may want to hold it, but.
Yeah,
okay. I would like to make a motion that we hold this article until we have hard dollar figures, so we know exactly what we're voting for.
I'll second that.
I'll second it.
Makes sense.
Whatever.
Okay, motion's been made to hold Article 12, pending further information on a funding source and the amount of the funding. Any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those, Angelo? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 8-0 to hold this article to
7-0.
8-0.
7-0, yeah.
Oh, 7-0. It says 7-0.
Right.
For the record, Dana DeCosta had left the room for the voting of this article. Okay. We voted to hold the article until further information.
All right. We still have a few more minutes. I'm going to save the operating budgets for last. Fund the new ambulance. Again, we do not have a bid on that. We know it's coming from the state bid list. But Carol, is that a firm number for the ambulance? 378?
Yes, yes, I believe I sent you that information. That number is firm, and they're holding that number.
All right, so this would come out of free cash. Is there a motion to support the new ambulance?
I make a motion, we adopt the article to buy a new ambulance.
And it would be $378,000 from free cash.
$378,000, Article 13, yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Angelo jumped in.
Okay. So this is part of the ongoing program. to replace an ambulance every other year. And it's the way we keep our fleet up and running. 4 ambulances, takes a while to get through the fleet, they make them work. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed, Angelo, or you're in favor?
No, I'm in favor.
Okay,
He's
yeah,
on delay.
I know, he's on delay, I'm sorry, it's my fault. So that's 8, nothing, accept and adopt. Then if you go down to Articles 22, 23, and 24, and that's where I have put them, I don't know if those are necessarily where, it's where we talked about with the town administrator putting them. He did have a copy of this list, I don't know if he put them in that order, but there are going to be 3 zoning articles in the warrant. They've been referred back to the, planning board for a public hearing. That public hearing is not gonna take place until a week or 2 before the town meeting. So we are not gonna get the results of the planning board's public hearing. We just got these, I'm sure not everybody has read them, they're far-reaching, their implications on, multifamily dwellings, the West Harwich Special District, and essential services. They changed quite a few things, so I'm sure between now and the end of this meeting, we are not gonna be prepared to take a stance on these. So I would recommend a motion on all 3 of these to make no recommendation pending further information.
I'll make that motion,
I
That's
second.
for all 3 of them?
all 3 of them.
Okay,
We need to know what we're voting on.
right. And we really, you have to take the time to read these and figure out the changes and figure out whether you like those changes or not. I mean, it comes down to what you want to see the town in terms of zoning future. Any discussion on that motion? This is all 3 articles at once. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
Angelo, you're aye, so it's 8-0.
aye,
Yep. And that's 8. Okay. Our next one is the Article 32, Fund Affordable Housing Trust. This is a CPC article. And if you recall, it's went from 230,000 to 250,000. And if you also recall that 200,000 would go for rental assistance, and last year 30,000 went to a consultant to help them, and now they want to pay the consultant even more to spend more time helping them. So they've increased it by 20 grand, so it's basically a full-time spot now. I know I've thought about this a lot and was going to just vote it down because it was included a person, but we already voted 30,000. And I'm at the point right now where I would think $200,000 of rental assistance outweighs the problem I have with the extra 20,000 for the person. So I'm gonna support the article now and don't see a reason to hold it up anymore. I think this year, in the COVID year, we need to create every source of funds we can to help people out, and I think this is one. And any small problem I have with the extra money for a person, I think in this case, in my opinion, goes away, but I'm just one person. So, to start it off, we would need a motion one way or another.
I make a motion that we accept and adopt to fund the Affordable Housing Trust in the amount of $250,000.
Is there a second to that?
A second?
Okay, so we get a motion from Dan, second from Mark. The other thing that helps me weigh the decision is that that's our only choice. We can't make a motion to do the 230. CPC articles, we have to move them up or down. We cannot fool around with them in any other way like we can a lot of other articles. So we either are in favor of what the Community Preservation Committee has put forward to us, or we're not. So we can't slice and dice like we could have discussed on other articles. Tom?
Discussion. So you're going from $30,000 to $50,000 for a person.
Yes.
So they're close to doubling the salary. I would like to see a justification on this.
Well, they're going from part-time to full-time, is what they're doing.
Okay. See, that wasn't explained. Okay.
No, I found that out since then.
And that's like benefits, everything else as well?
Well, it's a
Full-time?
contracted position, so that's what they're gonna pay the person to do this work. Other discussion?
Do we know how big the trust is? I mean, we're adding to it.
They use it continuously every year. This is an ongoing thing. This is a program that
Okay.
their original request was over 700,000. They wanted to really fill up the trust. That's what the need is. The committee came back with 250, and that's where they are. They said, we'll give you the person and 200, but we're not giving you, so their original request before the CPC was for much more need than they're able to fill.
What's this for, though? I mean,
It's for people who can afford their rents to help offset them.
is it,
It helps with this one's the housing one. It helps get people into houses that can't get into them otherwise.
this isn't for building the house?
No,
or
no, that's a whole different
Just,
thing.
so a person
Assistance,
would go
financial assistance,
to this group and ask for financial help.
yeah. And there's a board that helps them get through the paperwork and the regulations, and they have a system, and it's been ongoing.
Okay. So
And it's been a program that, at least a decade, it's been around. Back when you were on there, it was all
Okay.
around, right?
The housing trust was, I think,
They've been asking for money for quite a while.
can't recall if it was initiated when I was on the committee, because there's another program, the rental assistance program.
Yeah.
Which is separate from this, I believe.
Yeah, one helps with rent, and the other helps with
This
housing.
was the purchase of affordable housing, I
Yeah.
think it is.
We ready for a vote?
yes.
Okay, we have a motion to accept and adopt. It's $250,000 from CPC funds for Affordable Housing Trust Fund. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right, it's, at least according to my clock, 7:15. So now we're going to have a public hearing on the town operating budget. And I'll first take a motion to do that. Motion to open the public hearing for town operating budget.
I move to open the meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Angelo's an aye. All those opposed? It's unanimous vote. We're open the public hearing. We'll have the reading of the notice.
Okay. Town FY fiscal year 2021 operating budget. Notice is hereby given under the Harwich Home Rule Charter, Chapter 9, Section 3-3. The Finance Committee will hold a public hearing on the fiscal year 2021 operating budget Friday, August 21st, 2020, no earlier than 7:15 p.m. This meeting will be a virtual public hearing where members of the public will be invited to join the meeting either via their computer, tablet, or smartphone. Dial-in instructions will be posted in the meeting agenda and when it is posted prior to the meeting. Meeting agenda must be posted at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. A copy of the proposed operating budget will be available in the agenda packet. The operating budget will also be printed in the annual town meeting warrant, which will be published and distributed at least 2 weeks prior to the annual town meeting. Finance Committee.
Okay. Again, we'll try it the same way. I'll make a few remarks, and then I'll ask if anybody from the public would want to chime in on anything. Since we published that, it's gone down about $290,000 more than what was published in the notice of this meeting, which was published 2 weeks ago. We have a proposed operating budget that is still out of balance right at the moment, but this proposed budget would take our tax levy from $52,239,968, and it would increase it by 2.1% to $53,353,448. So it does involve a tax increase right at the moment, and seeing that we can't balance it with a $1,000,001 tax increase, I don't see how we're gonna balance it by taking that $1,000,001 out as well. So this does increase taxes. I don't want anybody to think that it doesn't. It's a very lean budget by Harwich standards. It's lower than last year's budget that we went before town meeting and requested. And the reason for that is the local receipts. As we know, we're in this COVID situation. Hotels aren't filling up, bars aren't filling up. A lot of receipts are not coming in at what they're projected to come in at. Some numbers have been reduced by 50%. You can get those on the town administrator's website. But we go from 13,773,433 last year to 12,131,298 this year. So that's a $1.6 million drop in receipts from one year to the next, and it's a real reason that we're struggling to close this all out. The state has some things that they do. Barnstable County Retirement's up. Our debt service is down. That's one thing that will help give taxpayers a break. The debt service is down by 12%. And some of our fixed costs have changed. So when you balance it all out, our operating budget is $574,171 below what it needs to be at to be balanced. So we will have to close that between now and town meeting. Earlier tonight, there was a subcommittee meeting that discussed some of the possible changes, and everybody around that table, which included 3 members of the Finance Committee and a member of the Board of Selectmen, and our Finance Director Carol and our Town Administrator Joe, we're basically reaching the conclusion that some money from the stabilization fund may have to be used to close the final gap. We kicked around a few ideas. Steve Ford, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, challenged this board to come up with more ideas onto how we close this. So you'll all get the opportunity to come up with ideas and send them to me, and we'll put them into one document that we list for them. So I'll work out the details of that later in the meeting. But we're in a situation that we've never been in before, or haven't been in for a long, long time, and we've got a budget that we can't balance right now with the available resources, without either raising additional taxes outside the limits of Proposition 2.5, or without shredding departments that help weaken the economy here locally, and changes things, takes away services that we don't want to take away, without hurting a lot of things that we've accomplished over the years to put together. If we don't meet this budget, we're gonna have to dip into our savings account. Now, every year, for 25 years, I've asked what kind of emergency would come in to play that we would have to use our savings account for. I think we're there. I think we're in the worst situation we've been since the Civil War in terms of things that have affected us in terms of our local economy here. But that's up to others to judge. It's gonna be very important for the public to know that we're in financial trouble right here, right now, in terms of balancing our budget. So with that said, I'll ask, I don't see Donna on anymore, but we have a caller one. Caller one, can you hear me? Is this our friend from East Harwich? Hello? Is there a caller on?
I don't see a caller.
Caller one?
Oh, caller one, yeah.
Caller one, can you hear us?
Hello, Finance Committee. This is Patrick Otten. I don't know if I'm caller one.
Yes, you are caller one, Patrick. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I'm listening in to hear as you progress through the petition articles,
Okay.
and we'll stand by. Okay?
Yeah. We're having a public hearing that's open to the public right now for the operating budget. Do you have any comments on the town's operating budget?
Not on the operating budget, I don't, no.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll get to you right after we close this public hearing and discuss it for a bit, okay?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Without hearing anyone else from the public, I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved to second. Any discussion? All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Angelo?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Echo.
We got that. All right, so the public hearing is now closed. Again, we have to come up with recommendations for the Board of Selectmen. I have a few. I'm going to hand them out now. I'll send 1, 2, 3, 4 that way. Did, John, you've got one,
I've got
right?
some, yeah.
So if you can hand one down that way. These were just some thoughts I put together. We discussed them briefly at the meeting, because there's, some could be good ideas, some not, but
Can
I
add
was,
one?
did I give you, I thought I gave
No,
4.
no, can I add one?
Huh?
Can I add one to this?
Yeah, that would be the idea. So I put together this list, and it doesn't close the gap. It's still, I would still need $200,000 myself from stabilization fund to balance the budget. And within the balance, we're out of balance by 575. The selectmen are looking to add a new position as well. Certainly COVID-19 has set the health department upside down, basically, with what they're doing, and they need another person. So that would be another 50,000 in wages, or actually, we don't have the full year, so it'd be less than 50,000 in wages, because we're already into the first quarter's gone by the time we get to town meeting. And by the time it's advertised and this person is hired, so you're probably down to 30-something thousand rather than 50. But it would be a new position, and then you would need some money into benefits as well, 25,000 there. So I can't even close it without using some stabilization funds. But the idea is to put together our ideas, anything that you think might help reduce the budget or raise revenues or any of those things. We'll talk about them tonight, but my hope is that you then, after tonight, you'd send them to me in some sort of email that I can put them all together and get them into the selectmen's hands. Tom?
I would like to hear from both school systems, the Tech and Monomoy, how they're actually going to progress with teaching. Because if you're teaching online, you don't need buildings, you don't need custodians, you don't need heat, you do not need air conditioning, your maintenance goes away. That's a huge cost. So if you're going to be teaching from online, you don't have a bunch of kids in the building that you've got to clean up after every day. And that, I would love to hear how they can readjust their budgets if they're going to be teaching online instead of in the classroom.
Okay.
Okay.
I can say that on the proposed budgets, and of course, we have 5 different operating budget, 2 of them being school budgets. The tech school is at the number we voted, which is $1,737,789, and that is down almost $600,000, $594,000 from last year. So their number has gone down, and it's due to fewer students. Their overall budget is fairly lean, but it's, the biggest drop for us is fewer students. Now, you can think with all the construction going on, that would be fairly normal thing. And you gotta think that when the construction finishes and they open up that beautiful new building, there'll probably be an influx of students, and this number will probably go right back up again, which will stress us out next year all the more, or the year after, when they really start gearing up. The other school budget, the Monomoy school budget, is at $26,960,046, $26,960,046, and that's our portion. The total budget is like 35 million. And that's up about 300,000 from last year, 315,000 from last year for our portion. Within that, we would fund 256,000 out of free cash if we choose to follow that advice. So, certainly there are some school questions, and one of the things we agreed to on the subcommittee was that we would not meet with the schools as a subcommittee. We want both boards, full boards, the finance committee, the board of selectmen, and the full school committee to be able to meet. It will be some sort of virtual meeting, because we all can't be in the same room together. But we propose to have a meeting where the entire board would be available to ask questions or discuss things and get stuff out on the table. So that will come. That's about all I have on the budget. I don't think we're in a position to vote the budget tonight, the operating budget. There's still too many moving parts. I was very hopeful we'd be at some sort of spot, but we're not. So I would entertain a motion on Article 5, the town operating budget, to make no recommendation pending further information.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to make no recommendation. It's pretty straightforward. We're not ready yet to vote this, but we're getting a lot closer than we were. And at some point, we're all gonna throw up our hands and say we can't get the rest of the money out. We're gonna turn to our savings account, which is appropriate. And I look at the national scene, they're printing money like you wouldn't believe, right? They're into trillions, right? At the state level, they have a $2 billion savings account. They're gonna strip that completely this year. They're not as worried about next year as we are. So they would strip that completely, and they're still looking for, besides the $2 billion that they're going to use out of their savings account, they're looking for $5 billion from the federal government to help balance their budget. So they're dipping into their rainy day fund completely. So it gets down to us at the local level. We're looking at every source of funding we can look at. It doesn't make sense that we would say no to our rainy day fund to help us close the final gap, but we also have to think about FY22, and I think right now we have $4.4 million in that account. I think we're in a good spot to do that, to take care of this year and save plenty of money for next year. Dan?
Available in free cash.
It's a two-part answer. It's a good question. Right on the ball, Dan, we call him. We have 1.4 million certified right now, okay? If we vote all of the free cash that we have on the warrant, we would use most of that up. There's gonna be another certification of free cash for the closeout of the next year that will be higher than that. So, we're gonna have free cash available in May that will probably be higher than the 1.4 million. We have 1.4 million available right now for September, and we have our stabilization fund of 4.4. So we think we're going to be able to cover better in May. If next May, FY '22 was in worse shape than we are right now, we've got more money available to tackle it with. But then if we're in that kind of shape for FY '22, I would say that our major restructuring and bodies going and everything else is looking at FY '23, if you look that far ahead, because we would strip out ourselves over a 2-year period, I think, but who knows? We're hoping for better news, but that's about where we are. And as I pointed out to John in our subcommittee meeting, on the sheets that I give you, the every year, every week, or whatever, when we update this, the free cash number is right on there. There's one full column for free cash. That first column tells, right now, before anything we did tonight, we have projected $828,979 worth of free cash out of the 1.4 million. But that included all the ones to support our budgets. So if you voted earlier to do something with the road money that came out of free cash, we voted a few other articles out of free cash. So you'll have a total, when I redo this, that will tell you free cash number right up to date. I track that, so that we don't go deficit on that one.
And the big one we approved tonight was the ambulance, so that'll be a big,
That's another one, so.
huge.
The what?
The ambulance we approved tonight
right.
will be in addition to that 828, so it quickly, that 1.4.
But it's also, 256 of this is for Monomoy, the schools, and we want to talk to them about that, so. All right, so the motion would be to make no recommendation pending further information. Any more discussion on that? All those in favor say.
Can I just make,
Oh, Angelo, do you want to say something?
yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I think we really have to see if we can get close to a balanced cost and tax rate. But you do that by going through each account you have, you take a little money out of it. And the other thought is, we have a cultural center that we're slowly building and putting things in. We can probably stop doing anything for a year or 6 months. And it's not going to impact very heavily on anybody because there's nothing going on there, basically. So I think that we should really try to stop any increases in the tax rate, because any of that can be, I think, trouble. So I'll be quiet after that.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion of no recommendation pending further information, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Angelo's aye, so we're all in favor of that, 8-0. Okay, so we have a caller. Number one, we have a caller number 2 as well.
Wow.
Okay,
Someone came in.
caller number 1, you're interested in our position on, is this the plastic water bottles?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, I can tell you that the Finance Committee did take that up at our last meeting, and we have voted to indefinitely postpone that article. We felt pretty strongly that, there wasn't enough information for the effect of this article on the businesses in Harwich, and that the cost of what it would take to help educate people and to help enforce this are not present in the article. And like we recommended with the climate policy bylaw, we think that this proposal would be better suited if it was a resolution coming before town meeting instead of requesting a bylaw. So the Finance Committee is not in favor of passing this article. The Board of Selectmen have not voted it yet. I guess you guys are gonna go see them sometime before, I think, next Monday?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Can you help me understand? Yes, thank you for your comments. Can you help me understand what you mean by resolution versus bylaw? I don't know the difference.
Okay, a bylaw actually puts a law onto the books of Harwich that says that you'll do certain things, and if you read through your bylaw, it takes away the ability of all of the retail businesses in town to be able to sell water in plastic bottles. And that would become the law. And our problem with that is that we don't know what effect, especially this year in COVID, when everybody's just trying to have their business survive, what effect that would have on those retail businesses. The substitutes in aluminum and glass are just not as prevalent out there, and they're generally more expensive. We just think that, I know the night you were before us, you talked about space being freed up and everything, but it would just be replaced with the next container. And we think that the problems that would come with the next container are gonna be just as big as the present container. That would be the bylaw putting this into effect. A resolution would ask town meeting to support the idea of eliminating plastic bottles, and it would give your group time to go to retailers in Harwich and find out what the effect would be on Stop and Shop and Shaw's and the little convenience stores and the all the people that use water and sell water in town, what effect that would have on them throughout the whole town. So a resolution does not make it a law, it makes it the feeling of town meeting that they want to pursue it or not pursue it. They would either vote in favor of pursuing this or not in favor of pursuing this. But if they voted in favor of it, it would not create the law. It would just mean that we're working towards that and give the opportunity for some money to be developed for education, some money to be developed for enforcement, and some program to be developed on how it would affect local businesses. So those are the differences as I see them.
Okay, that helps me understand your position, so thank you for clarifying for me.
Okay. How about caller number 2? Can you hear me? Or was that you, caller number 2? I have a 1 and a 2.
My call was disconnected, so I redialed in.
All right, so you're my only caller. Okay. Do you have any more questions for us? Any more questions for us?
No, I appreciate your attention and your thoughts, so that helps.
Okay, we're going to continue on voting articles now.
Okay, good, and I'll say good night, so I appreciate your attention. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Thank you for calling.
By the same token, I don't think we're ready for Article 6, which is the Monomoy Regional School budget. Again, we have some questions for them. I know in particular, I want to talk about their capital program, which we're funding out of free cash at $256,000. This is a program that started when they started, but it started in the $180,000 range, and it was really to help them out in their first few years that were tough years for them. Now, they are sitting on over $2 million worth of E&D of funds. By law, their E&D account can only go to 5% of their operating budget. Well, they exceeded that by about $16,000. So they couldn't keep that $16,000 in their E&D account because they exceeded the 5%. When they first proposed their E&D accounts, they said they wanted to keep them at about 4% of their operating budget to make sure that they had a cushion. Well, now they're up to 5%. And now they've increased the amount of requests that they're making from our free cash to $250,000 now. So they haven't won me over on that one yet, and I certainly want to talk to them about that. So I don't think we're ready to vote that budget tonight. I think we better make a no recommendation pending further information on that one. if somebody wants to make that motion.
I move that we make a no recommendation on Article 6, Monomoy Regional School District Budget.
A second?
Any more discussion on that one? Dale, you raising your hand?
No, scratching my head.
You could have said something, Dale, you had a chance. Anything, John?
Just a quick question, because the whole reason why we're trying to clear up these articles dated tonight is because it has to go to print. When does it go to print?
It goes to print, well, the administration gets everything from me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it over the weekend.
Right.
And they'll have it Monday. They require a week to get all the documents in final form to go to the printer. It goes to the printer next Friday, week from today. The printer has 2 weeks to print it. They have to set up their printing and print it. And then we have 2 weeks to distribute to the public so that they have it before town meeting.
So this will probably be
So
the
it's-
last chance we get to vote
This is it.
on tonight.
Right.
Okay.
So as compelling it is to vote for a budget right now,
Yeah.
because it's our last chance, it's just
Yes.
not gonna be ready.
I understand. Because at one time, you also entertained of putting in a sheet at town
Yes,
meeting.
and I'm hoping that, like, if we can get together with the schools in 2 weeks, and, early September, and get it sorted out, we could take a position and then have that printed up on a sheet with all of our other positions, and I'm hoping we can straighten it out. Because we're all scrambling, everybody's working hard to get to where we are. The selectmen are now going full guns, they had 2 meetings this past week, they got 2 coming week. They're voting, they voted 29 articles already, so they're moving. But some stuff just isn't cooked yet, ready for us.
I understand. I like the idea of just voting the article, getting our position, whether we know it or not, as best known as we can. But then the idea of inserting a one-sheet item before town meeting for a final position on an article.
Yep.
Okay.
So the motion is no recommendation. Any more discussion?
Yeah, one more question, Dana. I do have a
Yes.
question.
Yeah, because I knew
So-
you were scratching.
So is that meeting a couple of weeks from now, the forum for finding out why they're asking for this $247,000?
We will have that answer sent to us prior to that. Carol's gonna send it out, whether she, if she doesn't send it to everybody, she'll send it to me, and I'll get it and send it to everybody. But we'll have what they're proposing to do with that money before any meeting.
Okay.
And,
Great.
any other questions we would come up, we would develop and have for them for the meeting.
Good,
So,
thank you.
any other discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Angelo? 8-0. Opposed, there was nobody opposed. The next budget is the sewer budget. That one we know the number on, and we could vote this one. It's $200,000. It was originally $350 or whatever. And it may change again, but we know that right now, it's set up to be $100,000 coming from free cash and $100,000 to be raised and appropriated, which means it would be coming from taxes. So we know the number and we know the total. We could vote that, and then our hope would be to, that would be one of the things I would recommend, that if we get to the point where we need to close the budget, you would move the $100,000 that is coming to be raised or from taxes, you would move that to the stabilization fund so that you would close that $500,000 gap with that $100,000, start to close it. And if you could find 4 more things like that, you'd be a lot closer. So that's on my list that I handed out earlier as one of the things I would change. So we could vote this tonight if you want to have the budget, our recommendations looking as close as we can get them. We know the total, it's just the funding source. And right now, that funding source would be 100 and 100. which would be subject to change. Our town meeting motion might be actually different than that, but if the total changes, it's only gonna go down. And it could go down by the
full amount.
full amount.
But will we have to revote it anyway?
Huh?
Do we have to revote it anyway when the number changes?
Yeah, even if we vote no recommendation, you have to reconsider that and re-vote it anyways. So I would rather vote this one, because we know the number, and just possibly change the funding source like we did some earlier tonight. That's a fairly simple thing to do, and generally, we don't have a problem with that. But I don't know how the rest of the board feels yet. Brian's ready to make a motion tonight.
No, Brian's just taking the notes.
Okay. Brian's doing a very good job for us.
Taking notes right
We have
now.
no complaints. Does anybody want to make a motion on this yet?
I'll make a motion to approve Article number 9, wastewater sewer budget for amount of $200,000, 100 coming from free cash and 100,000 coming from a raise and appropriate, which means taxes.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to fund that in that way. Discussion?
Mr.
Again, it's-
Chairman, it's Carol again.
Yes?
Hi. So the total sewer enterprise budget is $272,932, of which $200,000 would be funded through taxation, or $100,000 through taxation, $100,000 through free cash. The $72,932 would be coming from retained earnings.
Okay. So that was your motion, John?
Yes, that's my motion, $279,000.
That was your second, Mark?
Yes.
See how we fix those things?
Beautiful.
I stuttered there first.
Okay, so the motion is to read John's motion again, $272,932, with $72,932 coming from retained earnings, with $100,000 coming from raise and appropriate, and $100,000 coming from free cash. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Angelo?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have the 8-0. We're making progress, we're voting. All right. We've reconsidered all the ones, so that gets us to two more that I don't, well, actually, let me say this. We got Article 37, which is to amend the general bylaw department revolving funds. Now, there's two possible ways to go on this one. The article is taking 3 departments, if you read the article, it's taking 3 departments and it's changing the scope of their revolving fund. They have revolving funds now. This is allowing a possible tool for the town administrator to be able to move some of their money that's in the budget right now out to these revolving funds. So it would help us close that $574 million. He's asking, or he asked me, he asked at the subcommittee level, that we leave that in for him and support this as a tool that he could use to help close this gap. And forget right now that we're expanding the role of it. And in this particular year, that is not a precedent-setting year, we've determined that. It's just a year that we have to get through and get to these things. I think it's something to do. In this particular case, I support what he's trying to do with it. Let him be creative, give him another tool in his toolbox to help close this gap, because we have to close a gap no matter what. So I'm inclined to vote for this now, whereas a month ago I wouldn't have been.
Is there any definition as to what the value of this flexibility would provide?
Yeah, it expands it to help, so that they would be able to get some additional help.
Right, but do we have a sense of how much potential benefit there could be by providing that leverage.
Carol, do you have something on that off the top of your head, or?
A benefit to,
Well, I'm just trying to
I'm
get a
sorry,
sense of
what
how
was the
much money
benefit?
we're talking about that would be made available, or would be available to be reapplied, to reallocate.
I think in most of it, it's under 50,000. I mean, it's smaller amounts, but it chips away at the.
can we go back to like kind of the basics here? I'm sorry, I was distracted.
Okay, so we're talking about the two revolving fund articles. One is to expand some of the uses, and that's the one that we're on. So it would expand for those three departments. It would give them some additional uses. And we were trying to, Brian's question is more about, well, how much would that allow the town administrator to be able to move around if he could?
So it doesn't give the town administrator any leeway at all. What the first item that you have before you, I believe, is the community center.
Yeah.
And the community center has run programs out of that location that have historically come from or been involved with the recreation revolving fund, and they really have nothing to do with recreation. So they run programs out of there, and what happens is that the recreation director really is not aware of those programs, so he's required to authorize and approve the expenditures,
Right.
but he has no control over them. So I had met with the community center director, and we came up with, the more appropriate method to track these expenses, and that would be out of the community center revolving fund. That's the first item on the list.
Right.
The second item on your list, I'm just going down to the article,
It's wetlands?
is wetlands, and it came from the conservation administrator. And what she had said to me was, there's a real need to be able to provide for additional expenses and revenue sources for the wetlands, and she's certainly in charge of that, for the wetlands expenses associated with the use of the funds. Right now, they're not using those funds at all because the use of the funds are so restricted based on the bylaw that they are unable to use them. So they've got revenue going in and no expenses coming out.
So
The third item, which is a bone of contention, I think, for some folks, is to add the ability to pay part-time salaries and wages, or wages actually, for the town cemeteries. And I would tell you that the argument for the cemetery administrator, and while it's valid, and I believe it's valid, is that she has a one single department that has no ability to take sick time, to take time off, to take a vacation, to deal with family matters, because she is always on call 7 days a week. And so she was asking for part-time personnel to assist with that manner. Those are the three items before you.
So the second two items would actually allow for more services without increasing the budgets.
Correct.
The first one is just a transfer of location authority.
Correct.
All right, so that's what's before us.
I'm not sure how to phrase this, but I would make a motion that we accept and adopt Article 36, I think it is.
37.
To provide the
37.
town more
37.
flexibility
37,
in
yeah.
the use of revolving funds.
Okay, so your motion is to accept and adopt. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
All right, so it's moved and seconded to accept and adopt the article. We've had the explanation, and again, the town administrator sees it as a tool that he can use to provide better service in some areas where he can't now. And the other one just makes sense in terms of somebody who's paid to watch over it is actually watching over it. Questions, discussions? Carol's still on. I fix that. I'm gonna pay for that one. All right. No more discussion, we ready to take a vote?
I have my thoughts, but I'll
right.
take a vote.
All of those in favor of the motion to accept and adopt, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Angelo, how do you vote?
Aye,
Thank you.
aye.
Yep, so nobody was opposed, so we're 8-0. The second one, if you look at your newly printed thing, doesn't have anything on it. So, obviously, setting the levels of these revolving funds, the town administrator is going through it. He's not ready yet. I don't know if it came out in the new version today, but he's not ready yet. So I'm gonna suggest that we make no recommendation pending further information on that article.
Discussion, or do we make a recommendation first?
Do you have something you wanna support it?
No, I just had a question.
Okay, what's the
Do
question?
you think the town administrator is going to reduce them, or? I know, because that was a discussion we had at a subcommittee level, but we haven't really discussed it.
Right, I think that that message was pretty clear from his board as to, that's the direction they wanna go in. He certainly, if you remember way back, that was one of the discussions we had at the subcommittee
Yeah,
level, and
that's what I mean,
he
yeah.
enjoyed that discussion, and actually said he was listening very carefully to what we were talking about. And we were talking about the idea of reducing, the total package adds up to over $1 million in revolving funds. And we've already heard from the Director of Finance that for a town this size, even with the seasonal population we have, that's a lot of revolving funds. And the idea of possibly eliminating some. Now, that it would have to be a coordinated effort, which is why we don't think it can be done till May. It'd have to be a coordinated effort to reduce them and move the money that they would need to operate into the operating budget all at the same time.
Right.
So that it can be a coordinated effort. But right now, he's got to set the amounts. And he's got the fact that we're already gonna be through the first 3 months of the year, so he's just dealing with an authorization for 9 months rather than 12.
Yeah.
And some of the programs aren't gonna be open for a while, some of them. So I'm sure he's wrestling with what to put in there for a number for this year. But I can't even imagine any of them going higher. I assume they're gonna go lower.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're ready to vote this tonight. So is there a motion?
I so move.
No recommendation pending further information? Is there a second to that?
Yes, second.
Okay, Mark and Dan. Anything else on that, discussion-wise? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Angelo?
Aye, aye.
There's a reason for the echo eye. I think we have a position on every article. Let me just add up the no recommendations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 we have, and the original one, the stabilization fund, 8 articles we have no recommendation on. And that's out of 46, so we voted 38 of them. Which, really, considering this is a draft warrant, considering that we have draft budgets, considering that we have a draft capital plan, and then nothing is in stone yet, I just can't help but thank you all for the effort you put into getting us to where we are, because this, I think, it's gonna give town meeting a better warrant to look at. My job now will be to write up the final explanations. I'm gonna send the explanation sheet out again. The changes and the new ones I put in, I'll highlight in yellow, so that you'll be able to tell it from the last recommendation sheet that you got. If you see anything wrong with those, let me know before Monday, because I'll have to get them changed and fixed and get to them right away. So look for stuff right away on that one. That's my one request.
Okay.
We'll send those in. Tomorrow morning, I do have to go to New York City to do a very important family matter of myself.
You'll be quarantining for 14 days?
That's not one of the quarantine states, so,
Yes,
you know,
amazing.
I'll be going down and visiting and coming back. It's really not a pleasant visit myself. But it's something I have to attend to, so I won't be able to get to those right away. But as soon as I can, I will get to them, get them out to you, and I'll just ask to review them, help me with my main accent and typos, and send them back to me as soon as you can. And I'll be glad to fix them any way you want. But then they'll go to them, and we'll be in good shape. We'll be working on 8 articles that we know what we're looking for, we know what we're asking for. And as information becomes available, we'll vote them. And later, if we can put together one sheet with those 8 articles, or 7 of them, or 4 of them, or whatever we can do, and have that included in the warrant at the town meeting, they'll have all of our recommendations in front of them. It won't be in time for the published warrant, but it will be shortly after that. We'll get that in there, inserted in there. All right, that's the best we can do, and we've done it once before, that I know of in the last 25 years as that's been
I
done.
think it's important.
So if we can get to that, it's a goal of this committee, we'll make it that, we'll try to do that. I'd at least look at the agenda before, see anything else. We've had our public hearing, we've talked about budgets, we've talked about the warrant, we've done everything we need to do. Is there anything else we need to discuss tonight?
Just next meeting, any idea, or?
Yes, I have a schedule,
27th, I
right?
think you have it scheduled for Thursday, the
Posted?
27th.
Yeah, it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday?
27th.
Okay.
Yeah. So the selectmen will be doing a lot of voting
Yeah.
Monday night. So they'll get all their stuff in Tuesday. They have less to put in than I do. But we'll get our stuff in Monday, and they'll get their stuff in Tuesday. Staff fixes it all up, sends it out, gets printed, gets distributed for town meeting. So that's our positions. Anything else?
No.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Is there
second
a
it.
second? All right,